Been- All right, so I would call a special meeting of the Board of Finance to order on March 30th here for, do we have any alternates this evening? We do not, because Carl is joining us. Okay. Public comment. Right, hearing none. I will turn to our first selectman.
Okay, just two things. Just want to make sure that we record this also. There are a number of observances this week. This is Holy Week for many of the Western Christian denominations, which ends up on Easter Sunday. And also Passover starts on Wednesday. So just to remember that as we start this meeting. Good evening, members of the Board of Finance. This proposed spending plan for the fiscal year 26-27 maintains our essential services, addresses rising costs, and prioritizes long-term investments in our infrastructure, all while striving to maintain the level of town services that our residents have come to expect, become accustomed to, and deserve. In preparing this proposed spending plan, I would like to thank my fellow selectmen, our treasurer/bookkeeper, as well as all the department heads, commission chairs, and all who had input into this plan. Collectively, our guiding principle has been to invest in our residents and our infrastructure in an effort to ensure that Falls Village remains a welcoming and affordable community. The proposed spending plan is not just numbers and words, but rather a reflection of our values. Just a couple things I want to start. So when we go line by line or however you want it, I want you to know that across the board, we've given a 2.5% salary increase to all of our town employees. So you'll see that. You'll also know that you'll see for many of our buildings, as a matter of fact, all our buildings, which we have fuel oil, there was an increase. But I will tell you the silver lining for that cloud, we locked in last November at $2.74 a gallon plus a small surcharge. So we right now are ahead of the game at this very moment. And so thanks to our treasurer and bookkeeper who sat through the same 45-minute to 1 hour Zoom that I had to in order to get that price. I will defer to the chair on how exactly you want me to go through this, either line by line or if you have any specific questions, but I can start with the selectmen's budget and highlight what we have increased, if that's the way you would like it.
Yeah, I think the variances within each group would be
okay.
Before you get started,
Yes,
this is an absolutely outstanding assembly of information. Data is there. In addition to the data, you've done a phenomenal job identifying all of the critical elements.
Well, thank you very much. I would like to take full credit for that, but I cannot. This is we work in conjunction with the town treasurer. I'm not going to a bookkeeper who puts this all together. So again, thank you. We just give her the numbers. Okay. So let me start with the selectmen's budget. I just want you to note that although we gave 2.5% to all of our town employees, the selectmen, the first selectman, and the other two selectmen are not taking any increase in their salaries. As you come down, you'll see some additions to the Council of Governments, the COG. Again, that is assessed. You'll also see that we're down in garden maintenance. But what you will see at the bottom for fiscal year 26-27 is a line called special event. Now that we are into our 250th year here of the United States of America, we thought it would be a good idea to add it and leave it there for special events that we do have in town by nonprofits that we might be able to help them with their finances. But again, in the air of all transparency here, this is the big year, and we'll be looking at doing a lot of things around town. Hopefully we won't use the entire 1,500, but if we do, that will be the line. The other line that we've added is $2,500. That is the town bus. We received the town bus, if you remember, that was donated to us, and we will be using that to offset some of the expenses that you would have with the rec commission, and also, and I have to tell you, there's only some of the time that we can use it, in fact, for the senior citizens, because it is not handicap accessible, but we are looking to broaden the use of it through the town. Yes.
Go you first.
Well, I have a question on the town bus. Is that something like, we have so few middle school students and I know they're combining with the other schools and the bus company is actually super expensive for us to contract with that transportation. Is there any chance of us being able to utilize that and maybe save some money?
That's something that I would have to look into with the Board of Education. I'm going to be quite honest now. We looked at it for the rec commission, and there are different requirements when you're a school bus driver. Yes. So that is something that we can research and see that we can do.
But my understanding is that there is a past school bus driver who might be helping with some of the.
We won't get into that, but we do have those.
Has to be registered.
Okay. But right now,
Okay.
we're looking
All right.
for the bus, and this is $2,500 is for maintenance and so forth.
We might have discussed this in a previous meeting, but does that cover the insurance need
Yes.
to transport residents? Okay.
So, and who donated the bus?
Hotchkiss.
Okay.
And again, I will defer to one of the selectmen here, the only other selectman here who is able to. But, so that's where we are.
Judy worked all of this out.
And I have one more question.
Yes.
So, it actually looks like it's been several years since the Board of Selectmen has taken any increases. And I just wonder if that's our smartest action. I mean, I feel like you're all underpaid already. And I know that the selectmen have often done this, but I don't know that all of you are gonna want to be selectmen forever. And if we continue to keep that rate so low, are we going to attract good candidates going forward?
I think the discussion that we had, Andrea, among the selectmen was that looking at this year, all right, that we would forego those raises. And
This year.
I would only look at my fellow selectman here if she wants to add in at any particular time. Chris, I don't think he's even watching us via Zoom, but I will tell you that we really discussed it, and perhaps next year we'll look at something to, for whoever takes over after us.
Well, I am hoping that when we do, once we get the capital plan in place and we start looking at multiple years, that can be part of the strategy that you're describing. And it really should be part of the strategy. Leadership, transition, and supporting and being competitive and attracting candidates, as you were saying. Great.
A point very well taken, Amy.
Okay, cool.
Dave, you also have a budget item that you haven't used this year. Is there any anticipation of using the admin assistant?
Right now, this year, I probably will not, but I always want to leave it there, quite frankly, Ginger, because there may always be that opportunity to do it, to utilize that. But so far, I've been able to keep my head above water. So,
All right.
any questions about the selectmen's line 1001? Okay, 1002 town hall expenses. As you can see, once again, fuel oil is up, but we still save. Legal expenses, line 1003. We had $1,000 last year. As you remember, I came back to the Board of Finance asking for additional funds. Right now, I'm asking for this year in the budget $2,500, which would be an increase.
What were our actual legal expenses last year?
I think we were close to $4,000 in total. And please don't quote me on that, Martin, but I know that I don't have that available.
It's 56.
Yeah, you have it in the second column
56.
there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
5,600 in the end. That's right. We received the one bill at the end for $4,000. I stand corrected. Thank you.
And you're estimating 1,000 for this coming year.
2,500.
2,500.
No, I'm saying
For
for your
25,
expenses,
26.
your expenditures.
Mhm.
Yeah, for this
Yes.
current year.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood, Ginger.
No, that's fine. So we're anticipating potential more.
Mhm. Are we good with 1,003?
Mhm.
1,005 Board of Assessors. Actually, I'd like you to take a look at schooling is down because we have our certified assessors. And computer services, when we changed from vision appraisal, we got a much more fiscally friendly company. So they're down. Board of Finance, I actually have a question for the Board of Finance. Per meeting is $80. So you have an increase of 60. So you would be getting 3/4 of the meeting.
Meeting. Guess we should change that.
Yeah,
Guess we should change that.
okay. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yes, thank you.
That's quite all right. I'd like to take credit for that.
You got it.
Someone give Dave a pat on the back.
Yes.
I'm not gonna, that's not.
Okay. Again, you're up with the audit also, which you know. Tax collector across the board. We go all the way to computer maintenance and supplies. And there's a modest increase there, but I have to be honest with you, that's the cost of doing business, and with a collection rate of around 99%, I'm pressed to say we don't need more computer support. Looking at the treasurers, as we go down, treasurer, deputy treasurer, bookkeeping, okay.
Why is that one 2.49 instead of 2.5?
Because that's the way the treasurer figured it out. It comes out.
It's because I used to even number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise,
I was saying, I'm
it's
sure
like
it's
if I
been.
wanted to go down, I go up to 2.5.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
I'll be honest with you. Later on, we dropped to 72 cents here.
Yeah.
Rounded.
okay.
Okay, but it's just for bookkeeping. Computer maintenance and supplies, of course, that is along with QuickBooks and so on, and maintenance. Bank fees, as you know, we've gone to direct deposit,
Yep.
which has been
You need
fabulous.
an audited account for that, so that's the fee.
Town clerk stays flat except for the increases in salary. Planning and zoning, the same.
Is the mileage for? It's for the CEO or is that for?
The CEO. Any questions on 6 and 11? 10, 12 remains flat. 10, 14. I'll say it in 2 words. I'll make it 3. Unfunded state mandates, early voting. And we have one of the registrars of voters here who will nod and tell you that's where we
Answer
are.
any questions.
That's a huge increase.
It is a huge increase. But
But we had a decrease last year because we didn't have primary, and this year we could have 2.
2.
Mm.
So we have, yeah.
Okay.
And we had a grant. We don't know if we'll get the grant this year. They're not guaranteed.
Okay.
But we're applying for it.
They just give it.
Oh,
We
I see.
don't have to apply for it.
I
They
see.
give it to us and then we just have to fill out the application.
Got it.
Yeah.
10, 15, insurance. Kerma, I believe this is the last year that we are flat across. Next year, they will be looking at an increase more than likely.
Mhm,
But that's where we are.
mhm. And, uh-huh,
Benefits, the pension plan is up because pay will be up. Social Security, of course, will be up because of retiree spouse benefits, nothing there. Health insurance is up,
yes.
not just our health insurance, but we've had one of our employees put on insurance last year after the fiscal year started, and that has asked to be put on the family plan.
So it's a, that's a
That
significant.
is a
Yeah.
substantial increase.
So, is the 40%, let's see, you said that we added someone.
We had
After the-
someone just about mid-year, I believe it was last year, one of our employees, and now that employee is asked to be on the family plan.
Oh, okay, so that's an additional change.
Yes,
So how much do they contribute?
they contribute nothing at this time.
Have we ever considered
Yeah.
contribution?
We have considered it in the past, and I can only go through some things historically now.
Mhm.
I know that, and I'm speaking from history here, Ginger, I
Yeah.
have never actually broached the subject. I know in the past, they looked at pay for other towns,
Mhm.
and they looked and said, well, because of our salaries,
Yeah.
that, they would again look at, giving the zero healthcare. I know, just to talk about one of our neighboring towns, and again, I'm not talking about how much are in the coffers and so forth, but there's a little joke with a neighboring town is they do have a couple unions over there, and when anyone in a town hall says, hey, I think we want this, that, or the other thing, and they said, remember, we're giving you a health care for zero. So there has been where it's been utilized. I'm not saying this is correct. I'm just stating the facts to avoid having a union and so forth. Yes, Amy.
But does this create any inequity with the other employees? Because, I mean, if other employees if one employee gets family coverage, then the other employees will be entitled to that too. And are we able to do that financially?
I would tell you right at this particular moment, I would look in the future to see how we are going to ameliorate this problem. Okay, but right now, at this point in time, we don't have a whole lot to fall back on. We don't have a whole lot to, let me put it this way, when we start negotiating again, or I shouldn't say negotiating, but when we start looking at this again, we may have to look at other avenues. Yes, it does create an inequity here. There's no question about it. But this is an employee who had sent us a memo quite some time ago regarding being added on. Those other employees have not asked at this point in time, but if they do, then we need to come back and re-examine it.
Has the selectman considered writing some policy around what makes you eligible? And, maybe
It's years of
like
service.
years of service based on number of hours that you work, things like that. I think because there is an inequity, we might want to have some policy to protect the town of Canaan.
As a
Or
matter
just
of
have some guideline.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, right, exactly. It doesn't need to be complicated,
Or
but
rigid, yeah.
I just think it needs to be something that they create and that the board of selectmen vote on and that they use to be valid.
we've already discussed this with our new town council. It'll be something that sorry to say, for this particular cycle, this is where we are right now at this moment.
Yeah. I'm just,
No,
I'm just gonna, one more add
Yeah.
on to what Andrea said, is just that it's very uncomfortable going forward if we were to with that, without understanding the implications in the future too. So
Okay.
Because sometimes-
so if you are looking at guidelines and policies with this new council, I would look at them very, very quickly.
Yeah.
we're trying to, but
Yeah.
there's
Yeah, but
Mhm.
without that information, it would be very hard to feel comfortable going forward with that. And I'm not saying that we would or wouldn't, but without that, it's like opening a door with, and you can't close it at all.
So maybe a different variation of that question would be, if we can't ask the question, I'll understand. Do we know how many people currently have health insurance that could extend to a family plan that haven't, so we could get an idea of costs if suddenly it happened?
I'm thinking, and I may be incorrect with the numbers, but I think two.
Should
And
have
to-
it out of,
No,
Two might
might
not.
have.
Should potentially.
But see, to me, I think that's a good question.
because then we know what the kind of the bucket is, right?
Only in the short term, because you might have turnover and then in the long term, you might only have people who need family plans. So I'm just, it's just,
A very, very valid question. I will
Okay.
get on the phone to
Right.
and see if we can move it along.
And again, because the salaries aren't significant,
competitive, yeah.
having health insurance could be another way if we should have turnover for us to bring,
Competitive, yeah.
make it more competitive and have, really qualified, high level candidates going forward. Not that I want anybody to leave, because I don't, but I'm just saying,
Long term.
I am talking long term. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Economic development, again, we're still holding that line with a dollar in it. Public health. Torrington Health District, again, up 0.56%. That's per capita. That's what it is. We actually did another $1,000 to the Housatonic Youth Service Bureau. We were at 4,000. We're up to 5,000. Reason being is, I don't know if you're aware of it, but we receive all the letters here, and our social service agent receives all the letters. And I'll explain something to you a little bit later on as we go through this, but it costs a little over $17,000 to keep an HYSB clinician at Lee H. Kellogg. So our contribution of $5,000 is not close, but
The next line is the one would love to have more understanding on.
the mental health services, I'm sorry,
Yes.
yes, mental health services. We did some research. The original ask, Amy, was for $10,000. We did some research and we found out that some of the clients were from North.
That's right, right.
Canaan.
So this is a more informed estimate,
Yes.
but you say that our estimate for 25-26 is still at 7,500.
No, 26, 27.
Yeah, our estimated expenses are still at 70.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Do you think
Yes.
that will be lower?
No, that will go, but what we did was we came back and we looked at who they're servicing, not who, but how many clients they have in this area. And it's one of those things that a little bit of, I won't say mix up, but the numbers do vary also from year to year.
But we have a
So we might
real number for this fiscal year?
It might be
We've-
unexpended,
I
right?
believe we've already
So
paid that out, correct?
they send a letter requesting a certain
Mhm.
amount.
Right.
And some research was done and some more information was found out. So they've already requested their check for this fiscal year. So it's already been sent to them.
Wait, but can they
7,500.
send us a refund if it wasn't our people? I mean, can we ask for that?
We can ask for that, but we've already committed that.
No, I understand, but if those people aren't from our community, then they would owe us some money.
But what we found out in the meantime is, I'm not sure how the numbers of clients went
Okay,
during that time, so.
Okay, so we're just, you feel 4,000 is a more accurate expectation of what they would bill us?
Yes,
Okay, based on
based on the number of
their
people we have
clarification.
at this certain moment, with the
Okay.
numbers that they are able to give
Okay,
us.
cool. Thank you.
And as we all know, mental health services are.
Okay.
Social services, as we go down, chore service, we are using chore service, or our members of our community are using chore service
Good.
more. Northwest Transit District, same thing. Was an increase, obviously, with gas and so on and so forth.
But what about the nutrition?
Nutrition, Nutrition, we're pretty much on the button there because again, from year to year, you do have some variations of who uses it and who does not use it. And the real number for coming up for this year is about $525.
Okay. It's just that 24, 25, we actually
actually-
used 600,000.
I hate to say this. Well, I don't hate to say it's reality. Several of the people who got those meals are no
Passed
longer with
away.
us.
Okay, okay,
I
That's
guess that's
cool.
the best way. of
So the
putting it.
number changes.
The number changes.
I got questions. Okay.
okay, thanks.
Okay. Fishes and Loaves Pantry, they asked for additional monies, and I guess I really don't need to explain that to you.
Mhm.
So that's where we are. Any other questions about 1019? 1020, again, Williamsterdam building, again, is just fuel oil. Streetlights remain the same. General assistance remains the same. Funds for non-municipal
You
public,
don't think general assistance is going to go up?
uh, it may, Amy, but I can't tell you that.
No. You
Okay,
can't. No,
I-
you can't tell me any of this is gonna happen. This is your best guess. I
My
just
best
thought
guess
the
is
economy,
that right now, our social service director
she
is
advises
handling it
you.
and she evaluates it. So if there comes a time when we need more, then
She'll let you know.
but a lot of our other monies, if I may, just for a moment, like Fishes and Loaves, it goes into there. I mean, it's not a great deal of money, but
Okay, great. I mean, she's the one who tells you if that needs to go be higher or not.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks.
1023 fund from non-municipal public benefit. Okay. As you can see, we're doing the same as last year.
Mhm.
So there's no improvement. Conservation Committee,
Of the ones that you have here for 1023, did any request increases?
the library,
Just the only one?
that's the only one.
Okay, thanks.
And how much more did they request, you know?
I believe 2,500.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
The Conservation Commission, flat. General public safety constables, we dropped that by $900 because
Because,
I had the equipment.
right. That was a one-time expense. Yes,
That
I
was a
remember.
one-time expense.
Right.
Now, in the future, we may
Yeah,
up
replace
it back
those.
to that $1,000 again, but right now it's a one-time expense, and
Mhm.
the $100 will keep to replace things. Our non-recurring capital accounts, and again, this looks a little bit into our capital plan somewhere down the road, but right now, the only three things that we are looking at, the heavy equipment reserve, an additional $5,000. The truck reserve, an additional $20,000. And 107, 108 Main Street maintenance reserve.
Is there something you're anticipating there in specific or no?
I want you all to look over your right shoulder and you all over your left shoulder.
over here. Okay, thanks. Enough said. Thank you.
I had those visuals brought in this evening, so.
Okay.
So is the heavy equipment reserve and truck reserve, is that a one-time bump this year, or is that gonna be ongoing in the year?
That will probably be ongoing, Tom, because we purchased those two trucks and we're looking probably, I was hoping to have the DPW manager here this
Yeah.
evening.
Fire department drill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
but
was torn.
Yeah.
See you for.
yes, we'll be looking. I don't need to tell you, heavy equipment has not getting.
I was just wondering if we should expect next year to have that same number, or if it was a one-time bump just to get the pattern.
I would tell you that this is a bump along that we have that. It might possibly be less. Okay, but I'm not going to make that promise to you. I'm going to tell you that this is a bump that certainly is needed.
And I know you guys are working on the capital plan. We'll know more
Yes,
on that long-term outlook once we have that, yeah.
but I can tell you with the purchase of these last two trucks, they're not gonna be any cheaper next year.
Yeah. That'll work.
Again, 107 Main Street property, fuel oil is up. And we also asked for an additional $2,000 for building maintenance. I mean, it's just the cost of doing business. I hate to use that term
No, it's
with
true.
everyone, but it's the cost of doing business.
Yep.
35 Railroad Street property. We're working on that. Fire Commission came in at 0.
For the railroad property though, oh, okay, so you do have, it's just zeroed, it's flat, right? Got it, okay, sorry,
Except for the increase on the heat
right,
fuel,
Yeah, yeah.
which
Sorry.
every building.
it's
Yeah,
modest,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Fire Commission, again. Came in flat. 3001, Department of Public Works wages, everyone's gonna ask 3.73. That's the average across the board when you take all 4 of our employees. They're not each getting 373. That's how it works out.
And that's based on a pay scale that you
That's
have
based
for
on a pay
increases,
scale
right?
of-
So,
Yes, true. of them.
Just back on the fire commission.
Yeah.
That's flat because things went down and other things went up. Like, is there anything we need to be careful about, or, I
think you're-
mean, did they, or did they just move things around, like the ALS service versus the, I mean, it's an exact number. I mean, I just don't understand.
Would you like to speak to that?
Yes,
Secretary of the Fire
we,
Commission?
yeah, the
Because-
ALS is additional. So we try to find other places where we could compensate
Okay,
and not increase.
okay, so it doesn't.
And
yeah.
the electricity was quite a bit difference. We replaced 2 large items in the kitchen. And the electricity stopped.
So
So they must have been
Yes.
running.
Bravo. Mhm.
That we caught.
Wow.
And so, and the other is the physicals.
Thank goodness we don't have any.
Down,
The physicals are going down.
yeah.
But there's the good and the bad of that also from the Fire Commission. When the year it jumped up was the year that was a big influx
Yes,
of
when you had new
new
people.
blood, if you will.
Exactly.
So
Yes,
again,
it's
that's one of the
Exactly.
things.
A
Yeah.
good thing and.
It's a good thing and a bad thing.
Okay, so it's
But
just the
basically,
nature
we
of these
try
things.
to,
Yeah, it can't be flat every year though.
no, we cannot.
Especially with the
No,
new item.
That was the warning that I was going to give. It's not gonna happen. Cause the top 2, the equipment, the maintenance on them is outrageous and.
Yeah.
also, I think you should expect to
It's
see an
going.
increase in ALS services going forward.
Right.
Because there's been a huge shift in the local environment and how we're receiving our ALS services. And so, with that change in that, I think you're gonna see a big increase going forward.
Meaning
So-
we may exceed.
Not for this year,
For this year,
not for
but
this year, but I think for
as
next year,
things shift
everyone
over.
needs to be prepared and
things
we're
should-
gonna be talking a lot of money. So I should just put it out there
Okay,
and every community is gonna be in the same boat.
okay.
But if you, with new owners of all of the local ALS services and it's all new owners,
It's hard to predict.
well, they're just not gonna come in and continue to do it for essentially for the health insurance costs that they can recoup
Okay.
or the bundle billing agreements that NDP used to be willing to do that. So you are going to see significant, that's gonna be a
We
really,
need to be prepared. for
you
that.
do. I'm talking to everyone about having all our numbers to us by next, like February,
Yeah.
so that you have it for the budget. But I'm just telling you, and it doesn't matter whether it's gonna be Empress or
they're
Northwell or
wanting
Hartford Healthcare,
Just get the
you're
numbers.
gonna see
Mhm.
these big number
And
increases.
they're wanting contracts versus just.
Correct.
getting to-
If you want to guarantee that you're gonna have a higher level of care here when you have your heart attack,
Mhm.
then it's gonna cost you money.
Okay.
So,
Otherwise, have your heart attack somewhere else.
Well, out of the northwest corner, I mean, when another town is paying for it, but yeah, I mean, I just.
Yeah.
It's just the culture of that advanced care
Yes,
has changed.
thank you.
And so.
I'm glad I asked.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there's no such thing as the good old days anymore.
I mean, you're still getting the volunteers when you have a,
But you're talking about
you
something
know,
else.
but when you have a higher
The
level,
level.
yeah.
Okay, 3001 department. Oh, we did that. No.
No, you're
not.
right.
Still here.
You're good. You're
Yeah.
good.
Okay, I moved my my ruler. 3001 go down overtime has increased. De-icing is up by 50%. We will have the salt shed, hopefully, constructed. We'll be able to put more salt aside.
Why is de-icing up?
Yeah. He asked for an increase of,
To have
right, and
his
what hap- to have
inventory,
it,
to have his
Oh, okay.
inventory.
yes,
of it.
because
Because
this
you never-
past year,
Right, yeah,
Couldn't
what
always get it.
happened was we
I
couldn't
remember.
get it.
Yeah,
And if we have it, if we buy it outright,
It
we get
doesn't
better
go bad.
price.
Yes.
So we're ahead of the game,
Good.
kind of like locking in on the oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never know what Mother Nature will deliver.
And we found that out this year.
Yeah. I do.
Mhm.
Any other questions about 3001?
No.
3002 town garage. Fuel oil is up. What you'll notice is uniforms are up. But that's nothing we have control over. The cleaning of the uniforms and so forth.
And there's probably only one vendor.
Cintas.
There's one other, but yeah.
Hey, this isn't significant, but just curiosity. We still have a landline
I've been
telephone
removed
at
from
the
that for a
town
long
garage.
time.
Yes.
Okay, is that necessary?
So people can call in, and it's also required by OSHA.
Okay,
Also, they actually have terrible cell service.
Yes.
at the town.
I would have guessed, yeah.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, they're just down
a
in
little
that
back
little
end.
hill.
I mean, I know there was a time when it was tied to the operation of the town water supply,
Right.
but
No, there's irrespective of
that
that,
was
you have to have it.
20 years.
Yeah, you gotta have it for OSHA. Because when all else fails, all works. Right?
So it has to be a landline.
Yes.
You couldn't have a dedicated cell phone, because I'm thinking of the first net.
I'm going to tell you right now, everything that I've read with OSHA is you still have to have a landline. It's people had asked, why do we have a landline? You know, here, there, everywhere.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
OSHA
OSHA
requires it.
requirements.
all right.
You gotta make that call, you need to have service,
Right.
like somebody gets
Well,
hurt.
I was
Right,
thinking of
right.
first net, because they probably would have service with first net.
Yeah.
Who do you have it through, Frontier? Their prices are ridiculous. And there's no other options, I know. I know.
This stuff.
I know.
Ginger.
You're not telling, I know, you're not telling me things.
Okay, any other questions about 3002? Let's jump over to 4001, the rec commission. We've asked for an addition to the salaries, a proposed increase of $2,500. That being said, it is to look at raises and keeping the pool open longer. I think right now, they're probably not going to open any earlier because the school is
Snow days.
snow days. I believe they're still getting out the 21st, if I'm not mistaken. So that's one thing to look at. But that's in this year's budget. Next year, looking at keeping it open longer. Chemicals and supplies, $3,000 when you keep the pool open longer. It's additional supplies. They have not gotten
Cheaper.
any more inexpensive.
No, it's.
When you look at the next several lines, you're going to look at percentages and say, wow, you know, it's quite a percentage.
When you look at the
You gotta
dollars.
look at the
Yeah.
actual dollar amount. It's a
Yeah,
little
we don't
deceiving.
spend much.
No,
So special programs, an additional $400. Summer programs, an additional $525. Winter programs, an additional $500. We really want to get where the kids can go over there, maybe even some adults, and utilize it for sleigh riding. And 2 years ago, we talked about doing it and we didn't have enough snow.
when we
This year would have been
Would
the
have been
year to
great,
do it.
yeah.
Now, if we approve this money, chances are we won't get any snow next year, but what are you gonna do?
That would be fun for kids.
Right? The electricity for the pool pump, again, based on keeping the pool open longer because the switch goes on. When it starts, Tim throws the switch on, and then when season's over, the switch goes off.
If you're opening up later, though, aren't you gonna be open around the same amount of time?
We're probably not opening up later. We're probably gonna open at the
Earlier.
same time. We're just
Okay,
not
got
gonna
it.
open up
Thank
earlier.
you,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's just,
And we think
and I'm
we'll-
just messing with in my mind, the school.
Right.
stuff.
And we think we'll have lifeguards still home. These college kids leave earlier and earlier.
They do, but we were pretty lucky last year that we ended up staying open for one additional weekend because we do things a little bit different than a number of other towns. I'll use Sharon, for instance. Sharon hires all full-time lifeguards.
Mhm.
Okay, 40 hours a week, 7 days a week, and they do the entire schedule. Our waterfront director, and I always cringe when I use that because we don't have a waterfront, but our waterfront director has been able to take a number of part-time, if you will, high school age and college age lifeguards and put together a schedule that they all complement each other. So if we were to run a program, let's say movie in the pool or whatever, like we've had in the past, we would require lifeguards there, so they would stay a little longer. If we go an additional weekend or an additional couple days, again,
If you have high schoolers, you'd be able.
right, we'd be able to put that patch in.
Okay.
Maintenance and repairs, additional money, we have some cracks in the concrete, things like that. Ground maintenance, because we're keeping it open longer, we would look at additional
Mowing,
ground
yeah.
maintenance. So all of those,
Maintenance was for wood chips.
wood chips also, yes,
Yeah.
thank you. I actually have that notation above here, thank you. Any questions? Again, up significantly, but when you look at the actual money, I'm not saying it doesn't all add up, but it's a little,
Well, we're gonna see some increase in revenue too. I mean, we've been talking about it a little bit, so I was just wondering
you may.
if you've got a little more time period of it being open.
The thing is, I will fall back on what we've heard in the past. Primarily, a lot of residents want the pool for the residents.
Mhm.
But if there's a guest brought in, so on and so forth, but the residents don't want to be pushed out either, so.
There's a balance there.
There is a balance. 6001, waste management. Tipping fee is up. Let me just share this with you. This is a very volatile situation this coming year. We are hopefully we'll put forward, and I'm going to digress for just a moment. When we have our town meeting coming up for the budget, we will also be looking at passing an ordinance for us to join the Northwest Regional Refuse Authority.
How will that impact this?
What it will not,
Is it
Initially,
taking
it
into
will
account
not.
in that?
here's what's happening, and I digress for a moment. There is some question about how this is going to go. Wednesday, there is a hearing up at the state capitol regarding the Tarleton transfer station. I don't want to get too down in the weeds with this entire conversation. But right now, this is what we are looking at, our tipping fees and what everything is going to cost. It may increase, it may decrease, it may stay stable. I can't answer that right at this moment. So what we're operating with is the best information. We do have offers from companies that are looking at it, but they're going to keep those tipping fees stable for only a few years, 5 years or 10 years, depending on a contract we would sign with them. But the idea of the NRRA is on a regional basis, we would be able to have a public option rather than a private option that would allow us, the NRRA,
Right.
to stabilize those tipping fees.
So this budget for waste management is based on
Our
the
information.
public option being
at this-
available.
At this point.
Right, that's what I wanted to know. Yeah,
So.
so you're really hoping that goes through in some form.
Yes,
Okay.
and I will tell you, Amy, at 6:51 on the 30th, this is the best information I have.
Got it. Yeah,
Transport, of course, goes up. And the food scrap collection, which we're starting again to try to mitigate some of the weight. And again, if we get into the NRRA, which I certainly hope we do. All right, I hope that the legislative body, in fact, votes for it and supports it. Like many of the other towns, Salisbury's passed it already. Sharon is going to, Cornwall is going to, I should say, put it on the up for vote. But it'll be important for us to separate out our food scraps
because the tipping fees are based on weight.
They're based on weights.
Okay, good.
And there's also a requirement from many of these places, including what they're looking at the NRRA. If you remember, Salisbury Sharon Transfer Station has a big
Food waste.
scrap food waste program, which they received a considerable amount of money in a grant for. Also Kent. And I believe there's one other town in COG that has.
Yeah, so it's reducing that
Reducing
program
the weight.
reduces the weight of their tipping fees.
Right.
So
Okay.
you've balanced it out.
And that,
In this.
and that total is only for transport, right? Nothing else?
This food scrap collection,
That's all for.
it's all for that company to take it.
So that's the company to take it, and so if we're paying them, then we reduce the weight. Your
And
proposed
hopefully
budget for next.
it'll balance out. It'll call for a major education program with our residents here, but it's well worth it.
Yeah, it is. Great.
And how are we going to? In what form is that education gonna take place so
Yeah.
that we get the information out?
Is there something in the budget for that?
No, there isn't, not at this time, but we'll find it.
Okay,
Of how?
because that makes it go, that makes it work.
Right, we
I will
have to
say-
have,
I will
yeah,
say a couple of years
if there's
ago,
mailing, if there's
our
social media, there's
our previous
all of those.
transfer
Right.
station attendant, okay, again, not attendant, but manager, if you will, held a big campaign and
Yeah.
had
Mhm.
the little baskets
Yep.
that everyone had to compost and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. So mine fell apart, but
Yeah, actually, I bet we could get some funding for,
we'll look at grants or
education.
something for
Yeah,
education.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, anytime you do Earth Day here, okay, and I've done Earth Day for the last, I don't know how many years, you would be surprised at the number of people who are aware of waste, recycling, and so on and so forth. I mean, bags.
Okay,
So the total municipal budget, as you can see, would be up $179,610.
so remember at the last Board of Finance meeting, we got this letter about when you increase your budget by a certain amount, there are implications, like is that triggering that?
It will trigger it. We will have to explain, but I would tell you that we are in, and again, we shouldn't compare ourselves to other towns for a number of things, but I'll be honest with you, we are, speaking to other first selectmen, we are no worse or no better off than any other. I mean,
Well, if the
arguably,
implication is only that we have to explain it, I'm not worried.
Yeah, well,
Okay, if there was a financial penalty,
no.
well, that was around
No.
the school,
That's
education,
Education.
right, and,
Thanks.
and I would
Thank you.
expect that our region 1 budget
It's
will
going to
be
less.
decreasing because we're only sending 2 kids to the high
And
school.
we have
And we're
six,
graduating.
6 or 8.
I'm not sure how many are graduating, but I know that we are, so I would expect to see a decrease there.
Mhm. And
right,
again.
and our incoming kindergarten class right now is pretty small, so I would hope to see some. Yes, I know, but that's where I'd like to see
The Board of Ed is presenting.
changes.
No,
the nine.
The ninth.
I
Next week.
do have another question.
Yes,
So, and we just haven't really talked about this here at the Board of Finance at all, is the receipt of the steep grants. And are there financial implications? Like, I'm assuming we're responsible for some portions of these projects. And we didn't really see that represented here, so I have some questions about.
Yeah,
well, I'm going to defer to my learned treasurer now, without throwing her under the bus, but we.
We do have a steep grant account
Yeah.
with
Okay.
$125,000 from the general fund that was approved at town meeting towards those projects.
Okay, and we think that that's gonna cover it?
That's our match.
Okay, oh, good, okay, yeah,
It looks like it will. I can't say that there's 100%.
right, yeah.
But,
well, which is one reason why I think it's wise of you to increase the legal amount, because sometimes you have to have a lawyer go through a lot of the state
Right.
And that's,
contracts.
that's.
Yeah.
what we
In fact,
are.
the state often expects you to do that.
Right,
And requires it.
You look at the ordinances. I
Okay.
have an attorney review any ordinance that that at least that I've authored here.
right,
Okay. And again, I will tell you that our previous attorney would, email to me, look it over, and I think you probably spent, 15 minutes to half an hour researching it and would send it back. And a number of times he never charged us for it. I can't speak for our next attorney here, but he comes highly recommended
Yeah, I'm just
by our
saying,
previous attorney.
yeah, I'm just saying in
Yeah.
terms of a
Right.
steep grant, you're getting into,
Well, our-
well, and I
Contracts.
just also don't wanna hold up any of those projects
Right.
because we have to go to town meeting to try to get more funding or stuff like that.
from the salt shed fund to the
Yeah,
salt
right.
shed.
Right, okay.
We've already done all that
So forth.
preliminary work.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure everybody can move forward with those
Yeah.
projects and there's nothing holding it up.
I'll entertain any other questions you have.
Just out of curiosity, and there's maybe in there someplace I just don't know where. Our building inspector, where's he hidden?
I'm
Just
hidden under
retired.
building inspector,
Yeah,
and he will no longer be with us.
and who do we have?
He's finally retired
Yes.
from retiring and
He is-
retiring.
He's retiring, and I don't expect to see an increase in the line.
Okay.
Okay, but there may be somewhere down the road, and we'll come back to you if we need that, because there won't be an increase in the salary. But we'll see how it finally shakes out. But we are actively seeking. We have at least one candidate at two
Oh, good.
to take over that position. Now, I will tell you that we are not, and just as a matter of information, we are not the only town without a building inspector. If you
Yeah.
go on the state building inspector website, you will see that there are many towns advertising, looking for building inspectors. When we lose Jim, May 1, Norfolk also loses because he covers there.
Yes.
The second seat in Winchester, he's there, so the second seat is out, and Falls Village. Jim has offered, should we get a new building inspector in to assist him here, okay, in whatever way he can to get him, familiar with Falls Village, with the town of Canaan. And I believe North Canaan is also without. I was
Yeah,
speaking
I
with
think
the
he was
first
doing,
selectman up there.
I thought Jim was doing North Canaan. Right?
Yeah, I think.
Well, he did years ago.
He doesn't anymore.
He doesn't do it anymore.
Now, he is an extraordinarily friendly, cooperative, helpful individual.
So thank you.
It's
Well, upon his
General public safety.
upon his resignation, I would like to have an email saying that. So I think that would be.
we've had a couple of extraordinary circumstances where basically told us, I live just up the road, call me.
He was great on our renovation project. I couldn't have, we'd call him and tell him we're ready to have something inspected and he'd come in and did not, I've heard nightmares in other towns.
Yeah, waiting and waiting.
And They've never held up our projects.
Any other questions?
On the debt service, is there some, it's just less? I mean, it's less.
Emergency Services Center.
No.
It's just less.
Less interest,
interest.
okay, yeah, okay, just less in interest, okay. That's great. Okay.
Anything else?
You really,
Thank you.
kept so many things flat.
As I said at the beginning, okay, the chairs of the commissions, the department heads, we have tried to do the best we can to keep it flat. I guess the reality of the situation, Amy, is this piece of paper costs more today than it cost last year. And that's just the reality. And again, I've used this term many times, and I apologize for using it. It's the cost of doing business. So that's where we are.
So
But as you see, there's nothing extravagant in the way of salary increases. Actually, the COLA is a little bit higher now. I'm not going to calculate the COLA at this moment because of what's going on. But if you look at the CPI, and you compare 2020 to 2026, kind of funny the way the numbers come out, but what you could buy for $1 in 2020 will now cost you $1.26.
Just a couple of, obviously, you're reasonably confident and comfortable in this budget. Do you believe it's sustainable? Or is there a cliff that somebody falls off of at some point down or next year, the year after?
There's always the cliff.
We have the cliff.
They have
We're the
little
ones
bit
who
of
face
money.
the cliff. Yeah.
Right, to save us from the cliff. But again, the only thing that concerns me in this entire budget, irrespective of any catastrophe, is waste management.
Right. Okay.
And that does concern me because I'm operating with the information we have. I think that I will talk with Ginger, perhaps, somewhere down the road about some future things that we might be able to look at. But quite frankly, and I don't want to make this meeting last any longer than it has to. Thank you for your patience. But DEP, the state wants nothing to do with trash, with municipal solid waste. It's been that way for years. We truck all of it out of state. There are hardly any plants anymore within the state of Connecticut.
We can build an incinerator.
We could.
Yeah.
So actually, the last first selectman in Norfolk actually researched that with a company out of, it was a Scandinavian country, and I'm going to say Denmark, but it could have been Norway, or it was a Scandinavian country to put up a small incinerator. That didn't go over well with the legislative body.
So I think you're right to be concerned about the waste management. The only other thing, as we discussed, is I would hope that you can make some speedy progress on determining the health insurance thing.
I will get on the phone to me.
Because, I just, not that I want to say no, I don't want to say yes without understanding the implications.
Yeah, there's
And
really also
to be equitable.
Right, I was like, there should be some consistency in offering it.
Yep.
I do think, because right now we use the Region 1 insurance, and they do a pretty good job of finding the best price and the best,
Which is really hard.
it is, it's really hard.
For me, it's a huge wild card.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
Before, if someone else desires it, what do we do?
Right.
Yeah.
But I do have
But
to
great
say,
job, otherwise.
I do have to say one thing though, being with the region is better than trying to go off on your own because there is some buying power.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, that increase always depends on the experience rating of the entire group too every year. So, that's number's a little bit changeable, and I don't know if we've gotten the final number from that yet from the insurance.
For health insurance,
Yeah.
yeah, we have that.
Okay.
So
That was figured in the increase.
Okay.
So we offer at zero. Is the rest of the region do cost share or they do zero as well?
Depends on the particular town. If you look at the towns in the COG, and we did a salary survey earlier this year. If you look at it, it's anywhere, and I still can't get this. One of the towns, and please don't quote me on any of the towns, but I can tell you that one of the towns asked 0.6%, which is kind of a strange number to me. Okay. And I think the highest is 17%. And so there's a range there.
Now they
But
all
there-
piggyback on Region One?
No, no, just the region one
Of the
towns
six.
piggyback
The
on
six
region.
No, that's
No,
what I,
yeah.
that's what I'm sorry.
Oh.
There's one town that doesn't, or there used to be. Are they all now doing it?
My understanding, I'd have to double check
Right.
on that.
Because
again,
when I was on the Board of Ed, there was one town that
Division.
didn't do
It
it.
didn't.
But we were a little surprised at what they were paying for health insurance compared to what we were offering, but they were offering a different kind of plan and it was just a quirky thing they were doing.
The one thing, again, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse here, and forgive me, but one of the things is I realize it is a large chunk of money. There's no two ways about it, but the reality of the situation is to keep a workforce that we're paying a little bit less than the norm. Then you have to look at, and drawing up guidelines and so forth, not a problem. We can take our guidance from our legal counsel, but the fact of the matter is, what's always made this town a little bit more attractive to a workforce, and we maintain we don't have a great turnover here. Is that that's one of the perks, if you will.
Great. So we meet next in 2 weeks as a regular meeting.
Before that, we
Yeah,
meet with
yeah.
the,
Next Friday,
on the
Board
ninth.
Education.
What about you?
Next Thursday.
Yeah,
next Thursday, sorry.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Right.
So
Board
a
of Ed.
week ago, a week from this
Yeah.
coming Thursday, we meet on Board of Ed.
Mhm.
So do you think that by our next regular meeting, you never know about the waste management, but you're subject to their own progress. But do you think you'll have information, whatever you have on that, you'll share with that, of course, with us, but on the insurance thing, do you think you'll
What I
have
will
that done
do
by then?
is, if you don't mind, I will contact your chair directly, which she can disseminate the information to you.
Yeah, I just,
rather
of
than-
course,
I don't take it as, but it's easier for me to
Yeah.
send her an
Yeah,
email
that's
or
fine.
No,
call.
that's fine.
call
No, I
the
was just-
chair.
and that would be great if it comes before that meeting. My hope is just that we get it at least by that meeting. That's all I'm saying.
And if you
You are hopeful lady.
Great.
Yes.
and if
2
you
weeks.
want to track it, okay?
No, I don't want to
No,
track
no,
it.
no, not the health, but if you want to track
I
waste
just go right
management,
on.
the NRRA,
Yeah.
it is Senate Bill 0051.
Okay,
Okay, and
we should hear pretty soon on that.
well, Wednesday, already our representatives have sent a letter to DAS.
Yeah.
And it's, being studied by the committee.
Yeah, it's not really in your hands at this point.
No, but it's something we all have to deal with.
Yes, and they know it. That's great.
Talking trash.
Yeah.
The one thing I would like to request is an income projection.
Yeah.
Please, before we sit down and go through.
I have one pretty much ready, but I got a larger check than what I thought today.
Oh, good. No, that's not a bad thing.
I think that plays into
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
our
whole
building
discussion.
picture and we found that helpful.
Yeah, and I also think after we hear on the Board of
Yeah.
Ed side, we can't really make any
No.
decisions until we have a full picture. And I think that could have some pretty significant impact on how we feel about this.
Mhm.
Fair enough.
Great.
Any other
Cool. That for me.
public comment?
Have one. The policy, Amy, for the home health insurance, we have a policy. It was redone in 2017. It's in my black book.
Insurance policies?
All of them, holidays, insurance, who qualifies, who doesn't. It was a big thing with Henry
Prior to Henry.
HR, you're talking about HR policy.
Yeah, they're all done, and actually, when I was looking down on my phone, I think I printed them over there by mistake, I think they're on that printer over there. Yeah, that was me, but I think the black book is right there, it clearly states who is eligible for health insurance and who is not, the issue is there.
But does it also address, family plan versus individuals?
I didn't look that deep on my phone, but I
But
guess.
that would definitely-
That black book?
It could,
Mhm.
there's what you're saying, there is a source for information to start from.
Personal policies are clearly defined in 2017, and they're still in place because they have not been edited or withdrawn.
And a great source to start from.
Yeah.
Okay,
you.
that's great. Yeah, that would be really important to share with your legal counsel too. So thanks.
All right. Any other? I want to gain a motion to adjourn. Andrew, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You're very
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Michelle, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Oh, hey, Carl, how are you?
very much.
Yeah, I'm so glad you guys are staying. I did not know.
Yeah, it's been a
No bruises, it's great.